One of the questions that, as I'm going through this question set, that I didn't answer was number 2. That probably should have been pushed down the question set a little bit further. There's something called, there's this idea of called a super or superimposed, and what supers allow you to do is to take a title and to put it down in a chunk of your video. What we've done so far is just take titles and actually spread them right across the whole entire video screen. Supers allow us to put maybe something down here in the bottom left corner. I know in your labs you're going to be looking at interviewing people, and a great example of how you would use supers there would be to put their name at the bottom, where you wouldn't have to announce who these people are. You could just put their name, and most of the time you would see it in the interview situation where they're interviewing, asking a question, and then all of a sudden just their name shows up down at the bottom. Watch a ESPN newsreel, and you'll see that happen all the time, where the person will just be talking, and instead of introducing them in the show or anything like that, they'll just type their name down in the bottom. So creating a super is pretty easy. We've got this video clip. I'm going to create a new title, and I'm actually going to roll in shape making at the same time. Well, actually, before I do that, let's go answer that. We'll go answer that question number 2. What is a super? And a super stands for a superimposed, which basically means the title is over the video, again with transparency. A superimposed shape or piece of text that identifies a piece of the video. Identifies a piece of the video or a character of the video or something that's happening within the video. So we're closing the sheet out here. We got a couple more questions. So we're going to go back here. We're going to create a superimpose down here. I'm going to create a shape first, and then we'll throw some text on top of the shape. So let's go to File. We'll go to New Title. Bring up a new title. We're going to do Super. Call it Super 1. Go to our title editor. And you'll notice with the pen tool, under the pen tools, which are all familiar from Photoshop, we've also got the shape tool. So I'm going to grab this rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to just drag a rectangle across the bottom. I can change a bunch of different things. I've got some strokes I can change. It's kind of funny, actually. You change text styles, you will actually change the shapes that are associated with them too as well. So let's keep it. Let's see. Let's go. Keep it nice and thin like that. And understand, I could make some outer strokes and inner strokes. Looks like the size. Let's see. There we go. I'm gonna shrink that white size out there. That's on the stroke. I could change the fill color if I wanted to over here too. Typically what you may want to do is when you're working with shapes, you want to probably try to grab a color that's in your video already, which is what the Eyedropper tool does. So if I grab the Eyedropper tool and I grab a little bit into the bike spoke here, it gives me a different color. Let's grab this blue right here. It'll be a nice little touch. So there's my shape, and now what I want to do is just add some text in that shape. So I click the text tool and I type in gears. Something like that. Gears changing. I obviously need to change the size of it because it's a little too big. I'm going to have to change the color too because the blue is not gonna work out with me. So I change that. I'm going to change the fill color to white. So my text is now white. I'm going to drag that down into my super. I'm going to have to shrink it up a little bit more. I'm actually going to shrink it by grabbing the corner. Here we go. I can push that over. Using the arrow keys now, I can push that exactly where I need it to be. And there's my title. So you might want to look at it. So I'll get out of here. I've got Super 1. Drag that down into the timeline. These, once they're in video clips, you can actually edit these like anything else. So I don't want it over the whole entire video clip. So I'm going to edit the corner of it. So let's see what that looks like. I pull it over to the front, running it. There comes my super, and there it goes. And you might look at it and say, wow, you know what would be nice? It'd be nice if you could put a transition in there. So I go over to the dissolve. Let's say I want it to cross dissolve up. slowly, and then cross dissolve down once it's all done. I drag a cross dissolve over. I'll shrink up the transition on there. So I got the cross dissolve on the beginning and a cross dissolve on the end, and I'll shrink that, make it a little smaller. And now this is what you get. And you can see you can use titles and create really cool effects. So it comes up and it comes down. Might be a little bit too long, so or not long enough, I should say. So I'm going to extend that title out again. Drag the cross dissolve back out over it. Come on. Let's get rid of both. So drag that on the beginning, slow that, shrink that up a little bit, and then just doesn't want to go on the end now. There we go. Shrink that down. So there, now we go. Let's see what that looks like. Hit the space bar, comes up, and transitions out, and we're good to go. So that's a good way to do that. You can create a bunch of shapes on your title, and you can create supers and that kind of thing. Supers, again, interviews are probably the best bet, but you can use supers to do a bunch of different things. So we'll come back with credits, and we're pretty much done at that point. Might as well finish off this lesson with some credits.